Right now, though, I'd like to bring to the stage a gentleman who actually started with us on open mic night. And he went on to, well, the last few years has written quite a few jokes for Jay Leno on The Tonight Show from his home out in Rochester. Please welcome to the stage Mr. Bill Mihalic.
Good evening, good evening. I'm very happy to be here with you tonight, even though I had to miss a really wild happy hour up at the Rochester Senior Center. No, really, it's a great deal for guys like me. 50% off all 16-ounce mugs of Mihalic. Kind of proud of the fact, actually, that at the senior happy hour, I'm known as one of the regulars. Sharp audience, sharp audience. Well, like Mark said, my name is Bill Mihalic, and I am really happy to be here, especially in support and in honor of such a great cause as the Salvation Army Bed and Bread Program. And I think that all of the people here who make that possible with their hard work deserve one more round of applause. Thank you for that. I admit that I'm getting older. I actually realized it last month down at the Detroit Auto Show. Somebody mentioned a crossover vehicle, and I immediately thought, hearse. Actually, a hearse is what we call a stage 2 crossover vehicle, right? Stage 1, of course, is a Buick. You need to go through the progression. But I got to tell you that getting older has really got me bent out of shape, physically and emotionally. And the other day I was feeling really down about it, and a friend suggested that I get in touch with my inner child. Right. Let me tell you, I'm so old that on my last birthday, my inner child turned 40. Okay. I'm so old that my inner child has an inner child. And my inner child smokes, drinks, has a gambling problem, and swears like a rock star on an MTV show. The inner child will not be my salvation. And I don't take much comfort in all these cute little phrases that people throw at me and that Hallmark puts on cards to make me feel better. For example, aging gracefully. Okay. For me, there's no such thing. For me, aging gracefully is like Angelina Jolie walking in through my front door stark naked. In other words, it's a great concept, but it ain't gonna happen. And I gotta tell you, true story. By the way, I don't make this stuff up. These jokes write themselves. A few months ago on the same stage, there was a good-looking couple sitting right at that table. See, they're not even here tonight because of what happened. And I thought I'd have a little fun with the guy, and after delivering that last little bit, I said, "Sir, I bet I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, hey, who needs Angelina Jolie when I've got a beautiful woman like this to walk in through my front door stark naked, right?" And he said, "Well, not really. She's my mother." Honest. Talk about losing an audience. At that point, every guy in the room, I'm sure, flashed on an image of his mother walking in through his front door stark naked. That image was itched there the rest of the night, and I'd bet you that half those guys are still in therapy. Oh, and then there's that poetic phrase, "let us grow old together." Sure, that wasn't some philosopher talking about love and life. No, that was the guy up at Sunrise Assisted Living talking about how they give discounts for double occupancy. I think the complete tagline is, "let us grow old together, it's cheaper." And guys, don't make the same mistake I made a while back. My wife looked at me one day with dreamy eyes and said, "let us grow old together." And I said, "No, that's okay. You go ahead. I'll catch up later." Not a smart move. Oh, and then there's that time-worn phrase, the golden years. Sure, these are the golden years. These are the years we need to sell all our gold to pay our friggin' medical bills. They should be called the no more golden years. And speaking of medical bills, I can't begin to tell you all the health issues I've been facing as I've gotten older. Last fall, I went in for my annual physical, and I'm a strong believer in annual checkups, so I make sure I get one every 3 years. And the first thing the nurse does is she measures my height, and she writes down 5'8". And I say, "Wait a minute, something's wrong. I'm taller than that." And she said, "No, sir, you're 5'8", and unfortunately what happens is as you get older, you shrink." And I said, "Well, I know, but you didn't measure that part." Then she gave me the EKG, a very simple test. She takes all these adhesive-backed sensors and sticks them everywhere I have body hair. And then after the electronic gizmo does its thing, she yanks them off. And that's the true test of your heart, okay? If you don't go into cardiac arrest when she rips those suckers off with half your body hair, your heart is good for another 100 years, I guarantee it. Then she asked me if I wanted a flu shot. I said, sure. She gave me one. A month later, I got the flu, so I guess it worked. And then the doctor came in. The first thing he did was that little rubber hammer on the knee test, And really, I don't know why they bother doing that anymore because, okay, maybe when we were 6 years old, we didn't know what was supposed to happen, but now we know, right? When he taps the knee, the foot's supposed to kick. And if it doesn't kick, there's something wrong and you're in trouble and there are consequences. Now, I don't know what those consequences are, but I don't want to find out, so I always make sure that when he taps, I kick, even if I have to cheat. This time I screwed up. He tapped the right knee, I kicked the left foot. He was amazed, and now he wants me to donate my body to science. And then he put on one rubber glove. That's always a bad sign, right, guys? Because you know what's coming next. He puts on that one glove, and he stands there looking like Michael Jackson with a stethoscope. And he dips it in the Vaseline, and again, did I tell you I don't make this stuff up? He thinks he's doing stand-up here at the Comedy Castle, and he says, well, here's the part where you get your money's worth. I say, hey, Doc, Blue Cross is paying for this. Why don't you do it to them? Which would be appropriate, really, because a procedure very similar to that is what Blue Cross often does to us, so it's fair play. Now, I'm going to come back to that part of the exam in a minute, but first I want to tell you that when we finished up, he gave me a little packet to take home, for the stool specimens. So I got home, I took care of all that, put everything in the envelope. And on the front of the envelope, did I tell you I don't make this up? On the front of the envelope, it says, may require extra postage. How much? But then I thought, maybe that's not such a bad idea because there's no way I want this package coming back into my mailbox. So I think I put 5 extra stamps on that sucker. And to be extra safe, I did not put on a return address. Okay, if that thing gets lost in the mail, let the post office open it up and try to figure out what it is. Well, getting back to the exam and the part with the rubber glove and everything, I had been having some disturbing symptoms that I mentioned to the doctor. So after that part of the exam, he sat me down and he said, well, Mr. Mihalic, due to a slightly enlarged prostate caused by the aging process, you have what we refer to as weak urinary stream syndrome, WUSS. Yes. Said in medical terms, you're a wuss. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with this condition yet, let me give you a little background. When I was a younger guy, taking a leak wasn't a leak at all. It was more like a solid stream of water coming from a high-pressure fire hose, right? Nowadays, it's more like tapping a maple tree to make syrup. Call me Mr. Butterworth. Yeah, when I was younger, just like all the other guys, I would brag that I could pee the bark off a tree. Now I can't even pee the bark off a dog. Someone once told me that Mr. Dick Purton likes jokes that bring up a visual image, but I think he might change his mind after that one. And it's a condition that doesn't get much respect. It doesn't generate much sympathy. I mean, have you ever seen a Hallmark card that says, sorry to hear about your weak urinary stream? I don't think so. And it's especially embarrassing in front of other men. You know, guys, how sometimes in winter we'll drink a lot of beer and go out and write our names in the snow? Yeah. Ladies, you know we do that. I mean, where do you think those yellow words come from? Dogs who can spell? No, it's our handiwork. Yeah. Well, I can no longer make capital letters. About the best I can do these days is lowercase 12-point font. That's only if the wind is favorable. Now, the other guys are out there writing their first name, their last name, their phone number. And I'm just standing there grunting, trying to dot the I on Bill. But at least I admit that I'm getting older. Unlike some people, for example, the Beach Boys. Okay, do you know that all the surviving Beach Boys are over 70 years old? And yet they're still touring the country, singing about racing cars and chasing girls and going surfing, even though they don't do that stuff anymore, or at least they shouldn't. Well, now don't get me wrong, I love their music. I grew up on that stuff in the 60s, but I think it's time for them to maybe change some of their lyrics to something a little more age appropriate. So, for example, Little Deuce Coupe, you know that song? Little Deuce Coupe, you know, I hope you know that song. I would like to sing that song for you with lyrics that are a little more appropriate today. This is what I would suggest the Beach Boys actually sing. And I'm sincere when I say I would like to sing for you because I can't sing, okay? Even at church, the people around me say, Bill, please, don't sing. I say, just sing to yourself. God will understand. In fact, God would prefer it that way. We all would. Okay. So, I can't sing. But tonight, I'm not going to let that stop me. Anyway, so here is Little Deuce Coupe with age-appropriate lyrics. Best I can do. Well, I'm not bragging, babe, so don't put me down, but I'm just the oldest living guy in town. Yeah, when someone comes up to me, he don't even talk, 'cause he knows I can't hear, and I barely can walk. I'm a little old dude, you don't know what I got. Just a little old dude going straight downhill. But I walk so doggone slow, it's like I'm standing still. Yeah. This is tough. I'm antiquated, medicated, pickled in gin. I look 140 with the shape I'm in. I'm a little old dude. You don't know what I got. I got a competition walker I call 4 on the floor, and I purr like a kitten till my backside roars. And if that ain't enough to make you flip your lid, just one more thing, I got a mind that slips badly. And jumping up at night when I gotta pee, I go run and dump my water like you've never seen, yeah. I'm bent out of shape and it's hard to hear, and I just hope I get a few more years. I'm a little old dude, you don't know what I got. Well, thank you. You know, your response has given me renewed confidence, and I tell you what, next Sunday in church, I am going to sing that song. Thank you. But you know, even though I am getting older, I intend to maintain my quality of life. And so I'm coming up with some product ideas to do just that. For example, to compensate for my fading memory, I'm developing a hearing aid with a record and playback function. And for stronger bones, I'm having all my cigars laced with calcium. Yes, dear, I know it looks like a cigar, but it's really a Cuban medical stick. Yes, doctor's orders. And then there's my personal favorite, bourbon with fiber. Yes. That way I can drink myself into regularity and oblivion at the same time. And ladies and gentlemen, that is the senior version of multitasking. Thank you very much.
Bill Mihalic.